What's up, guys? This is your girl Coco, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Kiki with Coco. If you are new to the show, let me tell you a little bit about it. It is about life in general with an emphasis on relationships. I have my friends, guests, and family come on the show, and we basically kiki about whatever the topic of the day is. And so today I actually have like a 2-for-1 episode because unfortunately, this is my last episode that I'm going to post for a couple weeks just because I'm currently in a process of moving. So I will be moving from the UK to Georgia. So I'm coming back to the States, and I couldn't be more excited to be back where I am, in my familiar surroundings. So the first part of the episode, which is going to be the drink with Coco and the word on the street, is going to be me and my homegirl, Lala. Shout out to Tierra. She wasn't able to make it today because she is sick. So feel better, girl. And then the second part, which is the hot cup of cocoa, is going to be Dr. Kerry-Anne Perkins, who will basically talk to us about women's reproductive health, which is an episode I've really been anticipating doing. So I'm excited that I'm able to do it now. So Lala, you want to go ahead and just say what's up?
Hey guys, I am so excited to be back. I was one of the first guests on her show. I'm so excited for her growth. Y'all see how long it took me to get another feature because your girl is booked and busy. But I'm so excited. I mean, gosh, what is this? Episode 59?
Episode 51.
51, like to do that many episodes consistently while being active duty in the military and being my part-time unofficial assistant. I am so proud of you, and I'm trying not to cry. Like, you're gonna be leaving me soon. I know my makeup is this, so I'm not, but you're gonna be leaving me soon. But I'm ready. I'm prepared.
Yeah, she not, I don't think she is waiting on this or anticipating it, but I'm anticipating that we end up in the same place again.
How many we've been? What, two
assignments together? Mm-hmm. Yep. So I'm definitely excited that I got an opportunity to be stationed with you again. It's always fun when we get together. You always there when I need you and vice versa. So we're going to go ahead and get into this drink with Coco this week. And so the drink with Coco is actually one of our favorite drinks at our favorite restaurant here in the UK. And the drink is called Purple Rain. And so Purple Rain is pretty much, it's just a gin and tonic, but what makes it purple is that you use butterfly pea flowers, which is actually tea. But once you put in the tonic water, it turns the drink purple. So the ingredients that I used is Roku Gin, which is a Japanese gin, and then Oriental Yuzu tonic water. I actually ordered the tonic water off of Amazon because they didn't have it in any of the stores here. So Amazon has it. And then the butterfly pea flowers I got from Amazon as well. So Latrice, why is it that you like this drink so much?
I think it's the flavors. So it's not if you looked at it on a normal menu, you probably wouldn't drink it because it has so much weird stuff. And you're like, why would I want to drink tea and alcohol? But the tea is really it's like caffeine based, so you kind of get energy. I like drinking it because we normally would go and eat and drink, and then we would hit town. So it's like, you feel good, you feel energized. It's not like heavy. Mm-hmm. And the flavors are really, really good. So I never really been a fan of gin. I always thought it was like a cheap.
I thought it was an old man drink.
Yeah, like my grandma now, drink like gin and juice. So I never ever wanted to like drink it until I came to England, and it's on like everybody's menu. So you kind of got used to it. And now I'm like, addicted. That's gonna be something I miss when I leave here. But that drink is just, you guys have to make it. It's so good. It looks good, and it's perfect for like after work if you just want to have a nice drink. And it's also good with meals. I definitely would say try pairing it with like your favorite sushi, and you'll definitely be surprised at how good it tastes.
So speaking of gin and juice, we all know that Snoop Dogg created the phrase gin and, I'm sure he didn't make this drink, but you know, his famous song Gin and Juice. But he also has a gin called Indigo, and it's spelled Indoggo. So I'm definitely anticipating trying this gin. And if y'all didn't know, Snoop Dogg is like super in his bag right now. So he got the gin, and then don't he have that wine 21 Crimes?
I think so. He got, look, I don't have to Google it, but they love him over here for some reason. Like even during Super Bowl, I had to watch it from the UK, and he had like 5 commercials, like premium spots, sponsoring some stuff. So I need to get some lessons.
Right. I'm all for it, getting that bag, Snoop. And one thing I could say, it's so crazy, like the songs that he has made, in the past, and he made a gospel album.
Now you're gonna make me look that up.
And then Cardi B WAP song, he like, people like myself just don't want to hear that. And it's just like, what? When you done probably told a woman, suck your, you know what I'm saying, 50 million ways, and then you talking about some, people like you and older don't want to hear that.
Girl, people get older and they try to forget, like, sir, we can't
forget where they come from.
Like your album was doggy style, like,
correct.
Cut it out.
But now that we got the Drink with Coco going, we are going to get into the word on the street. So, word on the street is Meg the Stallion has confirmed that she got a new man, and his name is Party, but Partisan Fontaine. So, you don't know who Partisan Fontaine is, aka Party. He is a rapper as well, and Cardi B is featured in that song, You Know How to Get a Bag. And I ain't gonna lie, when I first heard his name, I'm like, who? Who is this man? But I have definitely heard his songs before. I just didn't know his name. I was like, what is a party?
Girl, when you sent me that, I was like, she don't know how to spell Cardi. And I'm like, Meg is not dating Cardi. And I'm like, oh, Party. Let me. But I've been seeing, like, so I kind of knew who he was because I've been seeing him like featured like on like the Shade Room and Gossip in the City. So it was for the first time I kind of put like a face with a name. But I'm like, oh, I definitely saw him before I saw his video. So
I ain't never seen him before, but I heard his music before. And one thing I can say is, I think if anybody can find love, then more power to you. And after the year that Meg the Stallion had in 2020, I couldn't be more excited that she has found someone that she seems really smitten with. And yes, I use the word smitten because that's just like when you see her talk about him, she's like blushing, she's all smiles. So I'm here for it. And honestly, I don't even know what she saw in Tory Lanez, patch head. If y'all ain't seen that that meme that recently came out, and I don't know why he took his hat off or his scarf off or whatever it is he put on his head, but it's like, bruh, why did you embarrass yourself like that?
I am happy. Like, I feel that as women, they get scrutinized so strongly when they're out and dating people. And it sucks. because, you know, it's like, I feel like it's so hard to be a celebrity. You know, it's so hard being in the spotlight. And, you know, your life is like, you can't even have a private moment because people are sneaking and recording and taking photos. So it's like, damn, you might as well come out and say you're dating this person. But I mean, he seems to have put a lot of effort. She seems genuinely happy. And I mean, I think anybody is better than Tory Lanez. For one, he's like 4'11", I think.
Right. He's
So,
short and Party is over 6 feet tall. And Meg the Stallion need a tall one.
yeah, she's tall. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, but I'm happy for it. I mean, people go in so hard. I feel like now the internet, people are just allowed to say whatever they want to say with no consequences. And it's like, imagine, you know, your first year as a rapper, you didn't really have to come up. Like, you initially went to stardom, you know, you signed a contract, you lost your mom, you know, and you have friends and you're navigating the industry and you're still navigating growing up. People like, oh, she should have known better. Like, I don't even think she's 25.
Mike just turned 25.
Yeah, like, she's very young. So, like, I can look back at some of my relationships and I'm like, well, damn, like, you know, you make bad decisions. It just sucks that it's so public. But I'm all for people like finding love and navigate during the industry, because you can be linked with one person, you date another person, oh, she going to her fifth baller. But I'm like, some of these men are on their sixth and seventh woman in a year, but you don't hear the same thing. It's like encouraged for them to just keep popping out with bad women to date. But I'm super excited for her. I mean, I saw the energy you put in for Valentine's Day. That's what I'm looking for. Like, I cannot wait to get back to America. Cannot wait.
Like,
I don't even want men on base speaking to me.
No, like it's over for military men for me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, when I get back to America, where the men with money at, you know what I'm saying? Like, meet me with the same energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm naturally a gifter. You know, I'm a giving individual. So it's just like, if I'm gonna be doing and giving to somebody, I want the same in return, and not it just being a one-way street. So yeah, I'm all for it. If a man is gonna wine and dine you and make you feel special and make you feel like you are the prize, then I'm here for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and good day to a little leprechaun. Okay?
He just irks my soul.
Yeah, like, Meg, I don't know what you was thinking when that came about. Maybe he was a good vibe, you know what I'm saying, until his ass wasn't. But because you know, sometimes BDE, you know, you get some BDE from people, and you know,
he doesn't. He gives
cloud
me
your judgment.
He gives me small PP energy the entire way.
Yeah, so I don't know what kind of energy he give. I don't pay too much attention to him, besides what is posted on social media in the shade room, you know. But congratulations to Meg. I definitely hope that, you know, y'all relationship is substantial. You know, you get what you want out of it, and you know, vice versa. So now that we done kind of talked about a new couple coming together, now we're going to get into Kim Kardashian West filing for divorce finally from Kanye, after we have been hearing for months that she was going to file for divorce or whatever. And so I think previously, when she was saying she was going to file for divorce, it was, I think she said it like after he I guess didn't make it to the primaries, you know what I'm saying, on his presidential run. I don't know why he thought that was okay, or maybe I guess the situation saying like he don't agree with abortion or something like that, is what pushed Kim to just be like, I'm done with this. But honestly, he has not seemed like he has been very mentally stable for a long time.
Yeah. You know, Kanye is just, it's so disappointing because, I mean, being from Chicago, like, you know, Kanye was on Rockefeller and, you know, he was the producer. And we came out like We're the Champions was like my go-to song, college, you know, going in. Like Kanye went in, his verses, he can rap through the wire, like put on for the city. He used to be on Def Jam Slam Poetry, and he was just so articulate and intelligent. And I remember, you know, his mom used to teach, I believe, on Chicago State's, she was a professor. And, you know, like, to see how he has unraveled, it's crazy. And the only thing I hate is that, like, everybody had said the same thing, you know, when Kim met Kanye, Kanye was at peak Kanye. He's a celebrity, he's a superstar, he's together. He had a few issues, you know, the Amber Rose, he got drunk, he tasked Taylor Swift, even though what he said was true. But I mean, when my man showed up with a Hennessy bottle on the red carpet, I don't know what they was expecting. Anyway, it just sucks because I feel like he still hasn't gotten the help that he needed. I feel like with the Kardashians, it's always about image. And I do believe that they are man eaters. They use people for what they're worth and then they discard them. Look at Chloe and Lamar. They literally get men, they get these Black men, they date them, they have kids with them. And then when they become enough, too much, they discard them. And Kanye has done serious damage. I mean, I feel like for her as a brand, you have to disassociate yourself with him, even from running. Like, who's going to take you serious? Where are you going to get invited to? This man supported Trump. And then he doubled back and did all this crazy shit. So I do feel like, you know, and not to say the blame is solely on her. I feel like when you're dealing with somebody with a mental illness, it takes a lot out of you, especially if they don't want to get help. And, you know, and I don't think they want to commit him to a psychiatric ward, but something needs to be done because seeing from where he used to be and where he's at now, he's not the same. He's not the same person. But I mean, she gonna bounce back. She gonna be with her next Black man. But I mean, I really don't even put the blame on Kanye because, like, this is his first failed marriage and this is Kim's fourth. So.
Is it the fourth?
It's the fourth. Third or fourth. Is it the? She was married to a producer. Then she married Chris Humphries.
This is the third.
Third, yeah, this is the third one. Can't keep up with them.
Right. But I honestly just think, like, he just never bounced back from the passing of his mother. I think that she is who and what kept him grounded. And once she was gone, you know what I'm saying? Like, the ego is a powerful thing. You know what I'm saying? I think his ego came into play. Like, he is on top of the world. Because like you said, he was, when he met Kim, or I guess started dating Kim, he was like at the peak of his career, you know? So it's kind of just like, you got all this fame and this success, and you know, it can go to your head, and then you get one of the baddest chicks in the game. You know, that can definitely just be a huge ego boost. And I think when in the case of celebrities, like, they have all these things just at their beck and call, and it's just like you almost get to a point where you think you above the rest. You know what I'm saying? I think his ego is probably what has him like spiraling and probably sparked his mental illness. And I definitely think that he should get help for, you know, what it is that he's going through. I know he out in, what is it, Wyoming? Yeah, he's out in Wyoming in the middle of nowhere, I guess, for the peace and to, you know, not be treated as a celebrity. You know, maybe he passed that point in his life, and, you know, is definitely doing some evaluation while he's out there. And I honestly think him getting away from the Kardashians, even though he has children with Kim, so of course they're gonna be, you know, around each other and stuff like that. But I think, like, them not being the highlight of his life anymore is gonna definitely help him if he is seeking help, or, you know, getting help at this time. I think it'll help him in his journey to getting better.
Me too, because it's like they're always in the news. It's always paparazzi. It's always something, and that can be taxing. That can be tiring. I want a person. So I wouldn't like, it's not a lot of, people in Wyoming that's going to come out there for a scoop or a story.
Right.
So I feel like it is what's going to help him get to peace. But at the end of the day, I tell people, like, some people grow apart. Mm-hmm. Who you were at the beginning and who you were at the end, it just may not mesh anymore. You just may want different things. And that is totally, look, my peace, I'm cutting anybody off for my peace at all costs. So.
Facts on facts. I think that, I definitely think this is going to be a good move for him. I think that Kim going to do what she going to do. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, she not the one in a mentally bad space or whatever the case may be. And, we shall see who the next man she end up with. I know I want to see who it's going to be. But, I think that, Kim and Kanye made some beautiful babies. Northwest is out here just being fantastic and artistic. I think someone was saying, I guess she had posted a picture that Northwest had been working on for a couple weeks. And it's a painting that she did. And people was like, now, she didn't do that, whatever. And I just think, like, for a family with the money, like, why wouldn't her child be able to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know people whose children started drawing at maybe like 7 or something, and they are really good at drawing. So it's just like, why is it unbelievable that this child could do something like that?
Again, I think it's just a lack of resources, honestly. So I believe it. Like, if you have the money, you're getting your daughter the best art teachers. You're honing her craft at an early age. Mm-hmm. And Kim did say that her and another little girl were in like this, painting class. But to me, that's the goal. Like, that's the point of having money, is to give your children the best. So if your daughter says she wants to paint, I'm going to go out. If I have the means, I'm going to find the best teacher to teach my baby how to paint. So it's to me, it's not, I just think some people, and I'm learning this about the internet, people can only think at their level. Mm-hmm. So some people can't get past like what they see or what they think life should be like. When I tell people I've been to these countries, they're like, oh, you haven't, it's impossible, she's lying, she clapping. But
or they'll be like, you only able to go to these places because you go there for work. And it's just like, no. The military don't pay for you to go party and turn up, okay?
Yeah, like, so, I don't, it's, the internet is just, if it wasn't for my business, like, I legitimately would not, I would probably do away. I mean, I haven't posted in a year, so. On my personal page, so yeah, but I'm all for it. Like, everybody deserves, I think, peace and happiness, and I'm for it. Like, people like, oh, divorces are so rampant, and I'm like, well, that's because back in the day it was impossible, or women didn't have the rights, or they didn't have the means, so you had to stay with somebody who was shitty towards you or mean towards you and cruel, because you had no other way. Now it's possible, you can get away. So look.
Yeah, I'm all for divorce. I don't believe in staying with anybody that's not gonna make you happy, and vice versa. And I think especially when children come into play, I don't have children, but I am very much so an advocate of children and children being treated well. And I think that when the parents are unhappy, the kids unhappy. You know what I'm saying? Or you see them acting out or whatever the case may be, because, they feel that energy. And I strongly believe that. And so I think that if you can get a divorce and co-parent, and even if y'all not married, you know what I'm saying? I don't believe in staying with anybody just because of kids or whatever, because I feel like those kids will be so much more happier if y'all are apart and not being toxic in front of y'all kids.
Facts. Look, let me tell you something. I will never forget. People like, oh my God, divorce. I'm supposed to get divorced as a sin. Well, God ain't intend for me to be miserable either. So.
And I think that, like, I have friends whose parents have been married their whole lives, but they've seen their parents like just be so toxic to each other and stuff. And I've had friends be like, I wish my parents would have just got a divorce or separated or whatever, because they was miserable. Like, you know, like being an adult and being able to reflect on that, you know, like children pay attention and it's stuff that they carry with them.
Let me tell you something. You will not. It's gonna take a lot for me to get married again, baby. It's gonna take a lot for me to. It's gonna take a lot out of me. Prince Charming gonna have to jump up out of one of them little Disney books.
Well, we all know I'm open to being married again. I look forward to it. And next time I will have a real wedding and deal with all the drama that come along with it.
This will be me with my cup. Come on, sit down, Rena. Come on, sit down right here. I'm supposed to be bridesmaid, but I'm watching you.
Like going at it.
Like, don't even, like, let's just tell her the wedding, like, just have her show up and say, hey, it's a banquet, and then it's really a wedding, so she can just walk down the aisle and sit down. She ain't gotta cut up.
Nah, I have to do the whole wedding dress shopping and all that to include her, because, child, I've been divorced almost 5 years, and I'm still hearing about why I didn't have no wedding.
I don't even, at this point, like, I don't even think I want I just, knowing me, I will be somewhere on the beach if I ever get married again, and it's gonna be me, him, the witness, God and the Holy Spirit. That's all I got. I don't know, like, it's just, I see my friend, like, one of my friends is having a wedding, and I'm like, shit, I'm exhausted. Like, I gotta be here and what colors? Like, shit, I just wanna, this a lot. Like, no.
Yeah, it's a lot that go into wedding planning, you know, and like I said, me having to deal with the drama that come along with having a wedding. And we know I don't necessarily do too well with drama, but I'm gonna have to woosah a whole lot whenever that time comes.
All the pictures don't see me with my drink.
Yes, girl, have you a drink. You gonna have to drink some for me too, child, cause
I will.
But I think this is probably for the best that Kim and Kanye part ways as far as like being husband and wife. Because I just think, you know, it's been a long time since we've really seen them together, and I think, like I said, it's probably best for both of them. Like,
in quarantine too.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about it, I feel like COVID has. One thing I can say about COVID, I dislike COVID, but it forces you to address all the things that you may not like. I feel like a lot of people, they were in relationships, were marriages, and it was fun. Like, you know, you're always on the go, you're always doing something, so you don't have time to just sit and think. And my grandma always says, it's going to come a time and place where you have to sit in your shit. Mm-hmm. You have to sit in it, you have to address it, you have to be ready. And I think COVID has done that to people. You know, there's no touring, there's no, you know, video shoots and concerts and New York Fashion Week and Paris Fashion Week. So of course it's always a honeymoon time because you're coming back, you know, and then a lot of people have to work from home, school's out, and you start to really think like, damn, I don't really like this person, or I don't like this about me, or I don't think we're a match. And I feel like COVID has forced people to sit down, and there's nowhere to run. Mm-hmm. You can't party it up, you can't drink. I mean, you can, but it's like, it's no clubs. It's no distractions. It's literally you and that person. And every day, and people were judging Malcolm and Marie. And I'm like, shit, a lot of y'all is Malcolm and Marie.
Yeah.
It sucks. It's a hurtful feeling, but I think that, you know, a lot of people can't realize, like, yes, it was toxic, but how many relationships are like that? Like, how often do you get into it with the person that you're with and you just go nasty? So yeah, I do think it's for the best. And people like, oh, he lost a good thing. Look, you can be with the baddest person in the world. It don't mean that that person is meant to be with you for forever. Like, and I think people need to get outside of that. Outside of the physical, looks will fade. Everybody knows that. I don't care if in your 20s she was the baddest thing walking. By the time you hit your 30s, it's already somebody else that's in their 20s. You can get all the surgery, Botox, boobs, everything. It's always going to be someone out there better than you. So outside of the physical, it has to boil down to, at the end of the day, what's keeping you from holding on? It ain't going to be looks. Not when you 60 and you 70, if you live to be that long. It got to be something more. So you got to be able to laugh with this person, joke with this person. And I don't blame Kim. If I'm in my 40s and I'm looking down the road, if this is not somebody I can see myself growing old with when I maybe get outside the spotlight, we have no substance, I'm letting it. Why hold on to it? For what?
Facts.
It's no point. Like, I refuse to be with somebody just for an image or whatever. Like, no, it's something else got to give. You see millionaires killing themselves, so it can't be money that make you happy.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think that you need more than money and looks to sustain a relationship. Because like you said, everybody been in the house, stuck with their person, and it's just like, I really don't like the person that you are. You know what I'm saying? And that can be a hard pill to swallow when you thought this person was the love of your life, the person you saw yourself growing old with, and then y'all sitting in the house and can't stand the sight of each other. Or, y'all are bickering and arguing about simple stuff,
Yeah, and that's what I think for me, like, people say, like, like, you don't date in the military, or, it's so much harder. Like, for me, again, peace. My whole thing this, from last year going into this year is I'm maintaining my peace and I'm maintaining my sanity at all costs. And yeah, I mean, to me, it's just not worth it. Like, some people would rather be with people just to say, like, I'm with somebody than to just be by themselves. And I think being by myself has taught me to really love myself. I can go out to eat and sit by myself and be okay. I'm learning, I'm growing. So when I get with a person, I am prepared. Like, I can literally say, like, oh, honey, I bring the table to the table. And I can say that with confidence because I know that I do. I know that I've worked on myself mentally, physically, financially, emotionally. Like, I am, working on being well-rounded. But I hope people out there listening, like, I hope they're not just staying with somebody. Like, I feel like if you, write a list of the good and the bad from this past year, if the bad outweigh the good, it may be time to, get on your feet, or start putting some money away for a rainy day fund to get away, because it's no way. I mean, I hope Kanye gets with somebody that can deal with him more. I really hope he gets with his ex. I feel like his first ex, the Delta, they were college sweethearts. They were like, he was so good. And then I felt like Hollywood got to him, and you start seeing him unravel down the chain. And I mean, at the end of the day, he's Kanye. So there's a million of women that's bad that's willing to be with Kanye. So I do hope that he gets really the mental help that he needs, because he's so talented. Like, he used to have Donda's House in Chicago, which was like a good non-for-profit, and they did so much stuff for the community. And to see what he was so passionate about, passionate, to see him just change into this person, I do feel like it's mental. It's very mental, and he no matter what he done, I feel like he deserves a chance to get mental health, because in the Black community, people don't really acknowledge mental health. It's like, oh, it's not real. Like, we don't get that option of being mentally wrong, or having disabilities. So I do think that, he should, seek therapy and get his life together, because Lord, I'm rivaling, but I mean, if you do become single, hey, how you doing?
Right.
No, never. That lives rent-free in my head. I have no idea why, but It does.
I mean, ain't nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? You gotta manifest that thing.
I'm telling you, every night before I go to bed, I be manifesting where the money reside, where the money reside. Where the bag at? Okay, like my vision board. I gotta do an update to my vision board too, but
yeah, I gotta finish update my vision board too. I haven't touched it since we did it. I just need to more.
The Air Force changed the regs. That girl got that ponytail.
Mm.
Okay, Miss Mo, look, I'm gonna trade in my child support wig. I'm gonna get a little braid or something. I don't know. I just be seeing people with them, and some people I just be like, you need to wrap it up. Like one lady, she had like these braids, and then she had like this ponytail, but it was just so. It was like a thick point, like it just. I don't know. It was just so much wrong with it in my face. You know, me at work, my boss was like, can you please fix your face? I can see underneath your mask. I mean.
I promise you, I legit, when it comes to hair, and I'll be the first to admit, your girl go to work looking any old kind of way some days. Like, I just roll out. Like, I shower, get dressed, and roll out. I don't put a brush, comb, nothing to my head. I just be like, it is what it is. You gonna get what you get today. Like, and I'm barely walking through the door on time. But I legit feel like my hair at least look like, and maybe it's just the type of hair I have, but I be feeling like it at least look presentable for the most part.
You know, being so trash, friend. Like, I've been being trash as hell because I have I ain't gonna even lie. So I was doing like a full face at work. My quick beat for work. Then I was like, you gotta wear a mask even if you're in this content. So I felt so trifling. Like all last week from here on up, that's all I did. So I only put foundation and bronzer on like the top of my head. But I just be at work like it's a no for me. Then like a lot of people wear these wigs and then like they pull them back in a ponytail and it's just giving me Church's Chicken on Stony Island vibes. And I can't. Or like they have the weave ponytail and the end is like short and sprouty. And I never thought I would be like one of those CNCOs that be like, oh, back in my day, we had to wear a bun. And I'm like, I know what the reg says. However, ma'am, your ponytail is not quite ponying.
Girl, now I'm not gonna lie. Like, I legit be sneaking pictures sometimes. But one time, you say what?
Oh, we know.
Girl, one time this lady came to like they was visiting, like maybe came to do an inspection or something like that. And I was sitting right behind her. I didn't even bring my phone to the meeting with me. But I asked the person next to me, I said, let me see your phone real fast. And I legit was like, snapped the picture and was like, okay, send this to me. But the lady had on a wig, and you know the top part is laid down, you know, because it's a wig. I guess it's easy to just lay it down, pull it on back. But the end, I don't know if she, like, it was a synthetic wig, so I don't know if she tried to put some flat irons to it, and the ends was just fried up or what. But
she probably tried to share one of them synthetic Susans. You know, they be trying to apply a little heat. Look, this dude of my unit go say, he was like, oh, you're a senior NCO, but I thought you had a senior NCO wig. I almost said, boy, fuck you. Like, what are you trying to say? Like, I ain't one of them, like, I ain't there yet. Like, I would make sure, like, I'm okay. Like, this one lady, girl, scared the hell out of me in the BX. She was like, excuse me, who did your hair? Who did your hair around here? Whoa, first of all, if I can feel your breath through your mask, you're too close.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, damn, bitch, I got it from, like, this girl made it. She's like, who put it on? Myself. Who do you think? We in a lockdown. Who else will put it on?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not finna get a fine. a 500-pound, 1,000-pound fine for getting my hair done.
Right. That's an expensive ass hairdo, girl.
I'm gonna be like, as soon as you go to America, I'm gonna be mad as hell because you're gonna be legitimately in America, wide the hell open. I'm over here miserable.
Girl, as soon as I touch down, I'm gonna be like, your girl nails is dead, y'all.
I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna report it. I'll be so jealous. Like, I'm stuck up over here in like baby hell, and it's not giving me what it's supposed to be giving me. But I think I'm gonna feel better like once I get an assignment. I apply for another job. It's not in Georgia, but it's close. We're like an hour. It's in Alabama and Montgomery.
I was about to say what? At Maxwell?
Yeah. It's like it's close. It's close. Like, it's like I can hop in a whip. I can be there in 2 hours flat, okay?
Yes.
So if y'all let it be known, if y'all dating my friend, you hurt her feelings, I can
pull up.
We'll put that Mercedes on the road doing 120, okay?
But I definitely cannot wait to see where you go next. Hopefully we close if we not in the same place, you know. So I'm gonna at least speak that into existence. Like,
me too. Like, it hasn't been on my list, you know what I mean? Like, hitting up everybody. So I think the 3 bases I mentioned are like what's stuck. So that's why I'm like, out of those 3, let me try to work my own thing. But I truly believe like wherever I go, it's gonna grow. And I mean, I feel like if I went to a small base, I would run circles around people, like.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I've been manifesting. I've been praying. I started looking at houses in Alabama, condos and stuff. Like, I feel like I'm gonna go there. And I never, ever, ever, like, don't get me wrong, I lived in Mississippi for like a year and a half, 2 years. I never lived in the South with an F, but it's like Florida is close. And I don't know. I just feel like wherever I go, it's gonna be great, and we're gonna be close. Like, we still like a flight away, not a 9-hour flight, not a 10-hour flight, but like
a 2-3 hour flight.
Like a weekend, I could just pop up and not have to like plan and do an Apex and take freaking hella leave because the first 3 days I'm gonna be jet lagged, and the last 3 days I'm gonna be going crazy. So I'm okay with it. Like, I feel like COVID has taught me patience and being prepared.
Yeah.
Like, put me anywhere, I'm gonna throw me to the wolves, I'm gonna return leading the pack. Like, I stand on that. So I feel like wherever we go next is gonna be great. But I'm so excited for you to be in Georgia. I feel like that is the Black Mecca outside of Houston and DC. And like, your podcast is just gonna grow because you can actually like team up with other podcasters. You can cover events. It's so easy to like even record. Like, I don't think people understand your sacrifice. Like, at first I was like, man, Crystal, she just talking. But to plan a schedule every week, and then to see you edit your episodes, like, that's not an easy task. You have to edit, you have to check the microphones, you know, then you have to send it to the other person and let them hear it and get their input on like what they would like to be removed, or maybe if they were misquoted, and then to consistently publish them. Like, publishing an episode every week is a lot. Like, I don't think people see that. And to be a new podcaster doing it, like, I'm super proud. Like, when you first said you're gonna do it and you ordered those microphones and stuff, I was like, y'all, Crystal is crazy. In the first episode, we had so many struggles. Like, you should link a video to our first episode. The microphones, I was echoed as hell. Crystal's fire alarm needed to be checked. Like, all the dudes was commenting like, you need a man, y'all so independent, why don't you change the fire alarm? It was going like all day. We were smoking hookah, so all you heard was like bubbles in the back.
Yeah.
And we were like lit as hell. Lit. But to see you go from like that first episode, and I think we had to do the intro like 4 times because Crystal was so nervous, but like to see you do it now, and I'm like, oh my God. And I know like on Sundays, I be messaging Crystal and she be like, on Sundays I record, up until Wednesday I'm editing, and I'm like, oh my God. But like, to see you take your craft so seriously and to do it so well. Like, I'm super proud of you because I didn't know the effort it took to do this, and now you've incorporated recording. I don't see that expensive backdrop that you got for Christmas in the background, but
I ordered it. I'm waiting on it to be delivered.
oh, just checking, Queen. Didn't see one of your birthday gifts, dangling in the background. But I'm happy for you. I'm super excited for you to be able to travel. And like, I can only imagine, like, I'm hoping next year is like, Crystal, join me at booth, whatever, because I'm at Essence Fest and I'm talking to all the people that's coming through. Like, I'm super excited to see the growth, and I'm so proud of you. And it's like, I'm not even mad like you're leaving, because I know I'm leaving right behind you, but I like to leave. I think my feelings are hurt because I always leave you.
Yeah.
Like, I've been here longer than you. Yeah. And when I thought, I was like, damn, Crystal really got me to extend the whole year only so she could leave 7 months before me. But I know it's gonna like fly by. I mean, COVID is already like, I'm like, damn, it's March. So now I'm kind of excited. Like, people like, oh, you're ready for May for your birthday. I'm like, no, I'm ready for May for my assignment. Like, I done forgot all about my birthday.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be your birthday gift. That's how I felt about this assignment. I'm like, yes, birthday gift, come through.
Something, girl, they better post that job.
This has definitely been a journey. I've learned so much. Like, having patience has been key to this whole process, because like I said, there are, like, I'm editing Monday to Wednesday morning. Like, the episode post at midnight Central Standard Time, and I'm literally up at 4:00. Like, let me finish this last bit of editing or whatever, just so I can, post the episode on time. So, and I've like I said, I've learned a lot. I honestly feel like having this podcast through the pandemic has allowed me to stay sane. Because honestly, I might be in the psych ward right now if I ain't had this. But
type of work, child.
Yes. So I can appreciate having this side hustle, doing something I love and enjoy. I appreciate your support every step of the way, and just like, you and Sierra and Andrea and my mama and everybody that tune in every week. And so honestly, like, doing this episode and just being like, okay, I'm gonna take a break because I need to start packing and stuff like that. I'm scared because I'm just like, I feel like every week I'm getting more listeners, and now I might be losing listeners. But I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, y'all that genuinely support me and love listening to me every week, I'm sure when I start back up, y'all will be tuning in. So I look forward to, whatever it is that the next episodes that I have coming up. But I know I am going to pick it back up. This year has been awesome. This has been a long first season. But the break is going to be well worth it, and I will have some amazing, awesome content for y'all. I am, in the wake of me not doing a podcast every week, I am still going to be posting on social media. I am going to do some live videos so that I can kind of just update y'all on what I got going on, and I'll be sure to post flyers so that y'all also know to tune in as well. So y'all just be on the lookout. So follow me on social media at Keeking with CoCo so that y'all can stay up to date with what I have going on. And then Lala, you want to let everybody know where they can follow you at on social media and how they can access your business. It's Untamed Beauty.
That's not a plug, but it's a plug. So, as you guys may not know, I sell authentic African waist beads, sage, and crystals. It's a one-stop shop for self-love and just working on you inside, outside. Again, people wear waist beads for many different reasons: fertility, for self-love, to lose weight, as a sign to show their intent for marriage. There's so many reasons why women wear waist beads, but I can be found at my personal page is _also Lala. I post on there, but not as much. But my business page is at It's Untamed Beauty, and I post every day. Also, if you want to purchase beads, sage, and crystals, I have 20% off through March 5th. Use code LOVE21, and it's www.itsuntamedbeauty.com. So tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and y'all can come shop with me. Oh my God, I hope you show them like recording. Y'all, I'm gonna help Crystal pack up to go. And that's gonna be a video that you have to post because y'all don't understand, like packing up in the military is like everybody lies and says that they're ready, but they're not ready. So you're gonna probably see the movers there, and we're still separating stuff like what's gonna go unaccompanied baggage. Unaccompanied baggage is like a small amount of weight you get that like goes to your base first, and then your household goods come later. So it's kind of like what can I survive without for like 60 days, and most of the time you end up going to the store and buying the stuff anyway when you get to your base. But I'm so excited. Like y'all saw season 1. Like for season 1, I cannot wait to see season 2.
So yes, thank you, Lala. And then y'all, like I said, y'all can follow me on social media, Instagram, preferably at Kiki with CoCo. And then of course I have my I'm Black 25/8 t-shirts that for the month of February, for Black History Month, they are $15. So go ahead, get you a t-shirt, and then I have the Drink with Coco shot glasses. So as you can see, get y'all turned up on with the shot glasses. And
I made my drink today with that one. Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so you can get all merch at KikiandWithCocoPodcast.com. As always, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And then now we're going to go ahead and move over into the Hot Cup of CoCo. All right, guys. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the Hot Cup of CoCo. And as I mentioned earlier, I have Dr. Kerry-Anne Perkins on the show with me today, and we are going to kiki about kind of like women's reproductive health and kind of talk about some of the stigmas that that society puts on us as women. And so, Dr. Perkins, would you like to go ahead and just introduce yourself and let everyone know like what your specialty is and how you got into the field?
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Coco, for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Perkins, as you heard before. I am an obstetrician and gynecologist. And so I know most of the world knows what that is, right? So a lot of times we think of it as like the baby doctor, right? Or the woman doctor. And it's really a combination of both of those. So I do care for women during their pregnancies, after their pregnancies, as well as when they're just in their regular reproductive years and after their reproductive years. So as early as the age of 13, when we start going into our cycles and puberty and things just start changing. And for some people, it gets really chaotic, right?
Yeah.
All the way until menopause and after. So essentially, it is care for women throughout their lifetime. My history is kind of weird and different in the sense that I never had that, epiphany when I was a child or something, where I wanted to become a doctor because of something special that happened. I don't have that good of a story, okay? My story really goes back to just having a love of the body and being curious about the things that happen to us. So for instance, one of the things that I thought was the weirdest thing is an itch. Like, what is an itch? Like, please tell me, why is it that you have this weird feeling and the sensation, within your skin, and then you scratch it and then it feels so much better, Mm-hmm. And so it was really all of these little questions that I had in my mind that sparked my curiosity. And in trying to find out the answers to those things, I realized that medicine is kind of where I want to be. And that's where my heart lies. And so that's where it really just started. And then from then I was just like, okay, well, no one in my family has ever done this before.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know any doctors. So I've never had a conversation with a doctor. So I'm going to have to figure this out. And so it became a little bit difficult because I'm born and raised Jamaican. So I'm from the Caribbean islands. And, you know, the American culture and history and everything is completely new to me. So we migrated here when I was a teenager. And from then, I started on this journey of trying to figure out how to get to my goals.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a long, sometimes very difficult, sometimes, probably more times than not, fun, but also very scary journey. And so I have absolutely no complaints about it. I think, you know, I am where I am because I'm supposed to be here. And I've had a lot of people along the way to kind of guide me and to kind of put in their 2 cents and, you know, information. And so it's been a wonderful journey. So essentially I went to Temple University for undergrad. I studied kinesiology, which is exercise and sports science, again, because of my love of the body. I wanted to know more about this, what it means and how it works. And then I got a master's after that in biomedical sciences. And really during that time frame, I wanted to focus on me and getting myself ready for medical school because I knew that it was going to be a very long and hard and difficult process. So I decided to spend a couple of years to, I got my house at that time, got a car, and kind of got settled, you know, because I worked so hard prior to that, you know, working full-time while I was in college, and it was just a struggle. So I was like, well, I heard medical school is hard and I won't be able to work full-time. So kind of, you know, situate yourself in a place where you can, you know, be safe as you go through this process. So that's what I did. Mm-hmm. And then I decided to start medical school right after that. And it was as difficult as it said it was going to be. And then, you know, then for some reason, I decided at that point that I also wanted to get a second master's at the same time. And my reason for that was, as I started medical school and as like speaking with other doctors and, you know, understanding the field, I realized that medicine and business are not the same. Mm-hmm. And in medical school, they teach you nothing about business. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, once I'm done medical school, I really don't want to go back to school.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let me learn business now, because when I graduate, I'm done. You're not catching me in a classroom again. And so I decided to get the master's at the same time, which was wonderful. I really actually loved it. So I went to medical school during the day and went to business school at night and survived. So, and then, you know, to add to the mix, I always wanted to be a soldier. And so my family, not being a military family, not being American born, they're like, okay, so you want to be a soldier? No. And, you know, my family's very protective. And so when they think of the Army, they're thinking you're going to die, you know? Mm-hmm. And when I think of the Army, I think of, you know, serving and helping and protecting. So it's completely different. Mm-hmm. So I silently joined the military at the end of medical school. So I was like, well, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. And believe it or not, my family is so happy about that now. You know, it was a surprise. I did all the paperwork. When it got to commissioning, that's when I told them. And my mom was like, what? Like, she literally thought I was crazy at that point. Mm-hmm. So that's how I kind of culminated my training with, you know, doing that last thing that I really wanted to do as a person. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I have been exploring, enjoying, and loving the world of female reproductive health. I love women. I love females. I love everything about the body. And I feel like I have a connection with them. Like, I kind of understand when you don't have a good period, or, you know, you are feeling cranky today. I get it. You know, I understand. I understand when you don't want to get up, you know. or your vagina is acting a little bit differently. I get it,
Mm-hmm.
and so because of that, it's really sparked a love of teaching, a love of helping and serving, and so that brings me to where I am today.
Okay. And even though you say you don't think your story seems that interesting, I think it's very interesting that you did that much school. And because I promise you, I came to the military to pay for school, and it took me almost 13 years to finally finish my bachelor's degree. And now I'm just like, you want me to get a master's degree now? Like, next year. I'll start next year. So, but I do not come from a military family either. When I initially said I was coming to the military, everybody was like, "Are you crazy? Like, they at war. You gonna die." And I was just like, "Well, nobody's paying for me to go to school."
Yeah.
I mean, my mom was, of course, took loans and stuff out, but at the same time, I just felt like I didn't want my mother to have to, bear that burden. And it was just like, well, let me go somewhere where I know I can live on my own. I can pay for school, like all these benefits that came with being in the military. And now everybody is like, you chose the right thing. It's been so great to you. Can you talk to my daughter about being in the military? You need to talk to your brother about being in the military. And I'm just like, the military ain't for everybody now.
That is true. That is very true. It isn't, but it also is a very good avenue to, if you put into your part, they'll support you and do their part.
I definitely, but I also caveat, it's a good stepping stone to give you experience, because a lot of jobs won't hire people because they don't have experience, especially those who go to college, graduate, and they're like, this is the field I want to be in. And then you're getting all of these people telling you, oh, you don't have enough experience.
Right.
So I definitely think the military gives you that experience. And a lot of people like getting veterans as employees because of the discipline that they have, the experience. You also have experience with leading people, and that's what a lot of companies are looking for.
Right. Very true. Very true.
I can definitely relate to coming to the military and it not being popular amongst family and it turning into, oh, the military has been great.
It's a good thing, yes.
But along this journey, I have chose to live my life a certain way, just single, no children. And I know that even my mother has just been like, you got to start having kids at some point, and it's just like, well, I'm not ready right now,
Yeah.
And then we all have that ticking time bomb that everybody is like, oh, I got to start having kids. I'm getting old, what are some reasons besides, somebody just not wanting to have children that could possibly be a reason someone doesn't have kids?
There's just so many different factors that play a part in that, right? Obviously, you need sperm and you need an egg, right? And so there has to be an interaction between the two. And so there are so many, the list of things that can cause for there to not be an interaction between the two. Because even if there is an interaction, it's not a good one, right? And so there are things such as age, which is probably one of like the most common thought of reason, right? Which is why for women, people are just like, okay, well, it's time to go, like it's time. There's so much pressure on the woman or on the female to have a child once you start hitting, for some people, even in their upper 20s. You were just like, the 30s is like a dreaded place. You don't want to be in your 30s. 40s is just over, you know?
Yeah.
Just miss the boat altogether. So age is a really, really big factor. But one of the misconceptions out there is that it's a female issue if you can't get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. It is absolutely 100% not. The infertility among women is really about the same percentage as it is for men, like being the factor that's playing a part here. So on average, it's about 30%, right? So 30% of infertility is due to female problems and 30% due to male factors. So I really think that there's a lot of information that's missing from the public regarding that, because we place so much pressure on the woman to be in a relationship or to have a child because their eggs are dying, which it is. You know, once you hit 30, for sure, that infertility factor is going down, and pretty rapidly, right? By the time you hit the age of 35, it's declining even faster. By the time you get to the age of 40, it's like very, very low, right? And just about, you know, not existing anymore. So age is one, lifestyle is another. And when you think of lifestyle, you're thinking of things like your weight. Okay, there's a lot of different problems that can happen and conditions that can happen because of your weight. Okay, and essentially it could be either way. It could be too low of a weight. Okay? So you can have women who are very much like athletes, and they're very committed to their careers, and then due to that, they're not ovulating, so they're not producing that egg, so they can't get pregnant, right? Or medical conditions that can cause that. And on the other end, it could be being overweight and being obese, because we know that the hormones that are being expressed in your body when you're overweight will affect your fertility and the way that your eggs and your ovaries operate. So really, really important. Other lifestyle things such as smoking. You know, smoking plays a huge part. Essentially, in smokers, the function of your organs are not the same anymore. And it can also increase the likelihood of getting an ectopic pregnancy if you do get pregnant. And so that's like a whole nother category altogether. So there are those things, but there's also things that are like structural. When you think of structures, it means physical, like things that are like actually being a blockage. So your tubes can be blocked. If your tubes are blocked, egg and sperm will never meet. It doesn't matter if you have millions of sperm and you're producing that beautiful, juicy, ready to conceive egg. If the two are not meeting because there's a blockage in that road, it's not going to happen.
Is there a way to unblock them, or?
You know, that's a very, 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 very good question, because a lot of times there isn't a good, effective way to unblock them. And, you know, there's some fertility specialists who may want to attempt to do that, but it increases the success rate is low, and two, the likelihood of getting an ectopic pregnancy is high, because you create scar tissue whenever you have surgery in such a sensitive area. And so it doesn't increase the likelihood of you having a normal and safe pregnancy at all. So when that happens, oftentimes the best thing to do is to bypass that blockage. And that's where like a reproductive endocrinologist will play a very important part in helping the egg to cross and pass that blockage so that it can meet with the sperm. So that's one of like the physical things that can happen. Sometimes there are like a congenital or anatomical difference in your structure as a female, wherein your tubes are not normal, may not even exist. And some of these things you will not know until you get to the point where you're trying to get pregnant, you don't get pregnant, and then we evaluate further. And believe it or not, there are times where I would notice on, like, a patient will come in and consult with me, and she was never told that she has two cervices, two uterus, one tube completely missing. And she's been going to doctors for like her entire reproductive years. Did not know that structurally or anatomically she had a problem, and therefore pregnancy can be difficult. So There are just so many different factors. We can go down like a list that just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
But of course, we also want to pay attention to the male factor, because you can have, I think it's very interesting that in every ejaculate, there are millions of sperm. And so if a man were to ejaculate every single day, you're creating millions of sperm. You're hoping that one can make it, right?
Yeah.
And so it goes to tell you that most of these sperms are not normal. They're not normal. They're not functioning normally. And so even though there are millions of them, you're hoping for one because there's only a small amount of good sperm that comes out. And sometimes men will have issues with their sperm, that they might still produce millions of them, but they're not able to move and to get to the area. They have to be able to mobilize. They have to swim. They have to swim well. It could be that the semen is not the appropriate that type or mixture that is necessary for them to survive in a woman's body. Sometimes it could be that they're not producing or not with genetic material that is important to conceive, right? So you need to pass that DNA from the man to meet with the DNA from the woman so that they can conceive together. So that is a huge part of this. And sometimes these men do not and have no way to know that their sperm is not a good sperm, a healthy sperm, until he's trying to specifically and purposefully conceive with a female.
Right.
So I normally, once I start evaluating a patient for infertility, we give you a certain period of time, right? And so depending on your age, we'll either give you 12 months or 6 months to try to just naturally and by yourself conceive. And once you pass that period of time, now I start to evaluate both people right away. So I'm not just going to focus on the woman. We need the man to check his semen at the same time, because you can go through a whole list of testing for the female or the woman, and she's not a problem.
Yeah.
Her system is completely perfectly normal. So I started them at the same time so that we can equally and fairly and effectively test.
I know I've asked the question before, just asking my doctor, like, do you think it's possible that I can have children? Like, even though I wasn't trying to conceive, like I was on birth control. And she was like, yeah, you're young. You have plenty of time. And in my head, I'm just like, girl, I'm almost 30. Like, is there any test you can run or something? But, I can understand, like, possibly not knowing you're able to conceive until you get ready to try.
Right. And, another way, I'm pretty sure if I were to keep a tally of this, on every day I'm in the office, I get this question at least once, minimum. So you're not the only one. And sometimes it could be from like a 22-year-old, and, she's young and she's not trying. She's never tried.
Yeah.
I just want to know that, I'm fertile. And there's actually a very good way to kind of preliminarily in your mind tell yourself that yes, you are, versus you might have some difficulty. And that's really with tracking and knowing your cycles. A cycle will not happen unless you're ovulating.
Right.
So if you skipped a cycle for a month, you did not ovulate. And to ovulate means that your ovaries produced a mature ovum, or like an egg, and released it. And then when you don't get pregnant, that's when you get a cycle. Okay? So if you can track your cycles, and I usually encourage women to keep an app, put it on your calendar. When it starts, when it ends, know what your cycle is like, know your flow, so that if you do happen to have issues, you can come in and you can have information ready to go so that we can talk about it and be effective. Right. But your cycles are regular, you're fine. I can almost promise you that at least if nothing else, you're producing eggs and you're okay. Now the structure can be a problem, but
I can't tell you if I'm all right or not, because I've been on birth control a long time.
Okay.
But I do have a question. Can birth control cause you not to be able to get pregnant?
That's another good question. Because, there are just so much information and things in the world that can give a lot of misinformation with that, right? So birth control, the purpose of birth control is to put your system essentially in a state of like almost, I call it going to sleep, right? And you're sleeping for a very long time until whenever you come off of it. Depending on the type of birth control you're using, what can happen is that your fertility or your body may be slow to going back to your natural fertility level. Okay. Now, that is to say that every single female existing during her reproductive years will have a decline or a decrease in her fertility every day. That means your fertility is going to be less tomorrow than today. My fertility is going to be less tomorrow than today. Yes. There's no way to prevent that. It's not like your fertility is the same in all of your 20s or in all of your 30s. That's not the case. Every day is going down from puberty to menopause. And so if you keep that in mind, what I think a lot of the misconceptions come from is that people tend to not think about the fact that they might have been on birth control for 5, 6, 10, 15 years. And so when you come off of birth control, you've already gone down a slow decline in your fertility during this entire period of time. And so when you do come off your birth control, your fertility is way less or just less from when you started it. Now, birth control options will kind of determine what your return to fertility, like how long that's going to take. Okay. So, for instance, if you were to be on the Depo-Provera injection, in general, it's one of those birth controls that may lead to what we call amenorrhea. What that means is that your cycles don't come anymore. Okay. And so some women really like that. They're just like, hey, I don't get a period. I am so happy. Life is good. Right. And so it's a good thing when you're on it. However, when you stop the Depo-Provera, sometimes it could take, I'm going to say by my experience, about 1 to 2 years for your fertility to return to where it is. Now, some people will say that, okay, it just took away my fertility. Not exactly. It shut down your fertility during that time frame, but once you get off of it and it comes out of your system, your fertility will go back to where it is at that moment. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. That's refreshing to know. So, I was listening to another podcast, maybe about last week. And it was kind of like a surprise episode. I wasn't expecting it. And they were talking about, this lady was being interviewed about, I think she had pre or early menopause or something. And I think it started happening to her in like her late 20s. And she kept going to all these doctors, asking them what was wrong with her. And they weren't really giving her any answers. And so she finally found one doctor that, completed all the tests that needed to be done. And she's, I guess, at this time when she finds out, maybe about 30, 33, 34, somewhere around there. And come to find out, she had premenopause. And so it's like, maybe if someone had have told her this earlier, maybe she could have took some measures to be able to have children. But I guess at the point that she found out, she wasn't able to do it anymore. And she couldn't even, I guess now she has to go the egg donor route, and that can be a very expensive process. And so if someone were to come to you, say 27 years old, and says, hey, I'm having inconsistent periods, do you think it's something wrong with me? Would you immediately start running all these tests, or would you kind of like try and go like, let's try, like trial and error type deal?
Right. I do start testing right away. In general. And the reason is because there are a lot of different factors that can play a part with this, right? And so my approach to someone who is 18 and they say that I'm skipping cycles versus someone who's 28 versus someone who's 38 versus someone who's 48, it's the same initially, but easily goes off into its own, branch,
Right.
like right after the very first initial amount of testing that we'll do. So in general, I first check to make sure that everything is working, the hormones in the brain, the hormones in the ovaries, in the uterus, and then to check physically to make sure that there's nothing structurally that's a problem that's causing irregular cycles or bleeding. And then from there, it's really important for me to have like a really good relationship with the patient and for her to do some of the simple things like tracking her cycles and her periods, because that tells me a lot about how your system works. Okay. And then we incorporate other things as some of the factors that we talked about. We do a very extensive history, the smoking, the lifestyle, exercising, foods, hormones, medications, medical problems. And so we're incorporating all of these things into our visit to kind of look for risk factors and things that could be affecting your fertility or your cycles or your hormonal balance within your system. And so I do start right away. I don't dismiss any problems until we find an answer. Sometimes the answer is we've checked everything and everything is a perfectly operating system. Your system is just different, right? Or it's what we call idiopathic, right? And it's to say that we really don't have an answer, but we ruled out everything bad. We structurally say that you're completely normal with that. And then you're just having this issue. And then from then we come up with a plan as far as how we're going to manage that and what we're going to do and how to, combat whatever the issue is. Maybe you want to get pregnant at that time. And so we talk about a plan and what to do for that. Maybe you don't want to get pregnant. You just want your cycles to be regular. We talk about that. So there are different approaches depending on what the patient needs. But by far, I tell women all the time that it's very, very important for you to talk to your doctors about these issues. It is not okay for you to have a problem at home and you may discuss it with Google, you may discuss it with your girlfriends, but you don't discuss it with your doctor. It's super important that you do that. With that, you can kind of identify if this is a problem that needs intervention now versus something that's normal, but not anything that's going to be damaging.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's definitely good advice, or, I'm not sure if all doctors take that level of action initially, but I would definitely feel secure knowing that my doctor was really trying to figure out the root cause of the problem. And I'm definitely one of those people, like, if I have questions, I'm gonna ask. And like, I remember I had a doctor and she would always be like, you always got all these questions. And I'm just like, I just need to know. And sometimes I be done self-diagnosed and called the doctor like, I got this. I need an appointment now.
But I really do appreciate that because it means that you are advocating for yourself, right? And so it's very important that you do some reading on your own. Okay. I want you to come in with questions. Sometimes I'll tell my patients to go home and I want you to come back with a list of things. You think of those questions. Because sometimes, when you're sitting in the hot seat at that time, you're not thinking about everything. And then you leave and go home and you're like, wait a second, I forgot to ask about that or to mention this. So I want you to go home in your own time and space and keep a notebook, log things, write them down, and come back so we can have a good conversation. Because I don't want you to, like, what you see on Google is not for everyone. Everyone's story is a little bit different. So while our bodies might be very similar, if I were to operate on you and operate on someone else, you're probably going to look just about the same on the inside, very close. But we are very different individuals. We respond differently to things. We have different combination of problems that makes us unique. And so because of that, you want to talk to your medical provider so that they can now figure out with your uniqueness, what is going to be best for you.
Okay. So I'm glad that we kind of talked about some factors that could be an issue for a woman to conceive. What are some tips that you would give women over 30 to try to conceive?
Yes. That 30 number. Woo.
A lot of these questions I'm asking for myself, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping other people can get something out of this.
I'm 100% sure that you're not the only one with these questions. Okay. Some of these things are, I'm in my upper 30s and I have not conceived yet. And so, even though I am an OBGYN, I still have concerns just like everyone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just as human. And so some of these things I take for myself as well. Okay?
Yeah.
And so the first thing that I would say is that you really want to know your cycle. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It is, once you start getting into your 30s, it's extremely important for you to log your menstrual cycles. It is not okay for you to come into the office and say, hey, I think my cycle started on, February 1st, and it came in January, at some point, and I think it came in December. I literally cannot tell you how many patients will come in, and I'll say, okay, well, when was your last menstrual period? They have absolutely no idea. And so you want to know your cycles. With that, you should be able to track over a year's time frame to see, well, how many days are there in between the start of my cycles? How long do they last? What is my flow like? Am I having problems with blood clots, pain, whatever it is? You want to know your cycle very, 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 very well. With that, we'll be able to determine when that you ovulate, right? The general rule with this is that you will ovulate 14 days before your cycle. Now, for somebody with irregular cycles, it is very, very hard for you to determine when that is, right? Because you don't know when cycles are going to come. But for somebody who has a regular cycle, you should over time be able to say, okay, well, in 2 weeks on this date, I'm going to ovulate. And with that, we can better kind of guide you as to when to have sexual intercourse, to increase the likelihood of getting pregnant so that you know your window, okay? The second thing that I would say is that you want to control all the factors that you can.
Okay.
And what that means is you can control the things that you eat, your diet, your lifestyle. And so you want to control those factors now because you don't want to create a problem that will force you to have to make a dietary change or a lifestyle change, right? You don't want to become, for instance, you don't want to have hypertension, blood pressure issues, and then now you're just going to start to decrease the sodium and the salt intake, right? Because now you're going to be on medications and create a problem. You want to control all of those factors now. So you want to eat well. And by eating well, it doesn't mean dieting. No, I am anti-diets. I'm anti-diets. I don't want to hear the diets because most diets are not good for a lifestyle, meaning something that you can practice every day for 10, 20, 15 years and you're not damaging your body in any way. So you want to eat healthily. You want to eat healthy meats, lean meats that are not fried, right?
Right.
You eat healthy carbs, quinoa, brown rice, the things that are not refined. Refined meaning like processed, like white rice, white bread. You want to reduce those. You want to decrease the amount of sugars that you're eating. Sugars are killing us. Sugars are killing us. And we, I think, as people are not paying enough attention to the sugars that we're intaking because it's easy for us to blame something else, right? When it's the sugars that we're ingesting every single day that's slowly creating all of our system, our brain, our lungs, our heart, our ovaries, our uterus, our vaginas, everything. So you want to exercise. It's actually going to make your body in general much healthier and stronger for pregnancy. Pregnancy is a disease. Okay? Pregnancy is a disease. Okay? Pregnancy is a disease. Disease, if you broke up the word, is dis, okay, meaning bad or not, and E. So E is E-A-S-E, is your body working in flux, normal, right? And pregnancy causes your body to be in a state of vulnerability. It's not as strong as it normally is when you're not pregnant. You will get all types of aches, pain, ailments, problems with your teeth and gum, your heart. All of these structures in your systems are actually compromised during a pregnancy state. And so you want to prepare your body for that. The best way you can do that is to be as healthy as you can prior to pregnancy.
Okay.
So control those factors as much as you can. Try to be a little bit healthier, a little bit stronger, so that when you go through this course, it's as best as it can be.
Right.
The next thing that I would say, so we want to make sure that we are making our lifestyle changes. We want to know our cycles. We want to make sure that you have a relationship with an OBGYN. Okay. Not with a primary care doctor. Primary care doctors, some of them do a lot of women's health, which is wonderful. But you want to establish a relationship with a person that you can trust to take you through the reproductive process and the pregnancy process and take care of everything, meaning managing your pregnancy, delivering your baby, dealing with everything that comes with that. And so the earlier you actually get into an OBGYN's office is the more that you can create that relationship. You can do preconception counseling, okay, which includes like discussions and testing prior to you trying. So you can create that perfect, the perfect table in preparation for pregnancy. And so many times I see where, women will start out with a primary care doctor and they'll continue with them for a good period of time until they come to a roadblock. And then now they're trying to wait another month or two to see an OBGYN when we could have had that establishment way earlier on. Okay. And then what I would say is that you also, if you do have a partner in place already, you want to have conversations with your partner. And so the best way to kind of work and help your system and to increase the likelihood of having a normal fertility and normal pregnancy is to kind of have those conversations before you get to that point. So you want to talk with your partner about their history of STDs, medical problems, any issues that they can have that maybe they have not spoken to a doctor about. And a lot of times it's really hard for people to talk about those things. And they, especially with males, they sometimes will stay away from the doctor's office, as long as they can. They just do not want to know, right? And so you want to kind of identify those things. Start talking about children. You want to have children together. How many children? When? And you kind of start creating that timeline. And you always want to be ahead of the game. You don't want to be behind your timeline. So if your timeline is you want to get pregnant in 2022, the preparation for that is now in 2021 for both of you. And so there's also factors that a man can change that can affect his fertility. If he's someone who's really fit, is he on steroids in the gym? What is his diet like? Is he having regular sexual intercourse? That's really important because they can also have semen that's backed up and old if they're not regularly having sex and removing that and creating new sperm. If they've had children before, that's a great thing. Then you know that their system does work, to a degree. And so you really kind of want to have that conversation early. And so planning and preparation will get you there.
Okay. So now that you have given us some tips, I have one more personal question before I get into the listener questions. Do you recommend women, even if they're not necessarily trying to conceive, to use prenatal vitamins?
Oh yeah. Really? If you are in a reproductive age, and reproductive meaning that you are in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and you could potentially get pregnant, I do recommend that you start with a prenatal vitamin. And the main difference between a multivitamin and a prenatal is the folic acid or the folate that is included in it. And so essentially it has all the other components of a multivitamin plus that. And so, and the reason why that is important is because that folic acid is very important in a developing embryo. And so oftentimes what happens is that the structure of a person in an embryo is developing in that first like 10 weeks of pregnancy. And so by the time you find out you're pregnant, you're not allowed sometimes 5 or 6 weeks into that 10-week period of time. And so the organs are developing, the heart, the structures of the organs, the kidneys, the lungs, the limbs, eyes, nose, everything is developing at that point. And if folic acid is missing, oftentimes what can happen is that the development of those organs are not done well. And so this is where you can have a child with like spina bifida, for instance, or other structures that are not in place or not completely developed because it was missing the folic acid. So before you even try getting pregnant, have that prenatal vitamin on board, work on it, take it every day so that your system will be ready when it happens.
So would you take that in addition to a multivitamin or just
No. It's That's a good question because we don't want you to overdose or have toxic levels of certain vitamins. Like for instance, vitamin A is a wonderful vitamin, but if you have an excess amount of it, it can cause you to have toxicity, which is bad. So you don't want to overdose it all. So it's either one. And if you're reproductive age, I would just go with a prenatal now, unless you are like on birth control and you're 100% on it and you're just like, I have no desire. Or if you had a permanent sterilization and you know for sure you're not going to get pregnant, then I would say just take a multivitamin, but just either or.
Okay. So now we're going to get into some questions that I got from my listeners. And so I know that as of late, a lot of women have been pushing products like yoni steams or yoni products, V steams and stuff. Do you think those are safe for women to use? I know the vagina is a naturally cleansing organ.
Yes.
But, we like to, we want it to be fresh all the time. And so what are your thoughts on those?
So, when we talk about safety, when I think of the word safety, I'm thinking of things that are not harmful. Okay. Not necessarily right or wrong, right? It's just safe or not safe. And so steams and like pearls and things like that have become extremely popular within the last, I'm going to say even like 3 to 4 years. Right? And it's just hot on the market, it's hot subject and things like that. Now, even though it's become way more popular recently, it is actually not a new concept, right? And so if you were to go back in history, go back in times, we'll see that in some cultures, this was a normal part of their daily activities and in feminine care. So there's a lot of history there. Even though there's a lot of history, there isn't a lot of research on it. And there are a lot of reasons why there isn't a lot of research. The government in general will not accept like a patent on anything that's natural, right? So things that are found in the world and found in our backyards or found in different, like on the earth itself, it cannot put that in a bottle and sell it to you as is, right? And so therefore, if you think about this when it comes to money and finances, the market, right? If they're not going to be able to sell this, they're not going to spend time researching it, okay? And so a lot of research is needed, but a lot of research won't be done because it's not going to financially benefit the markets, right? And so it's not something that we can necessarily do anything about. But the truth of the matter is that we don't have a lot of research on it. So a lot of things, just like vitamins and a lot of different supplements, are just word by mouth. Is what people have experienced and what people have like passed on over time. And so some of these herbs and things like that is just falls in that line just the same. Now, as far as safety, it's a different conversation, right? Because essentially steams are a heated, hot, warm temperature of steam that's being applied to the vaginal area. Okay. Anything with heat can cause you to have multiple problems. So the first thing is touch and burn.
Yeah.
Obviously, the vaginal area is a very sensitive area. Mm-hmm. Whenever I talk of the vagina, I often talk about like the inside of your mouth, right?
Yeah.
How sensitive that is. And essentially it's the same type of skin that is there that's in the vagina. And so you have to be very, very, very careful, because you can eat something really hot, your tongue's burnt and your cheeks are burnt, right? Yeah. And so it's the same thing there. And so you need to protect that area as much as you can. Okay. So there's a temperature. There is the fact that if you were to increase moisture in the vagina, we know for sure that increases the likelihood of you having an overgrowth of bacteria, which leads to infections. Right. So oftentimes we just want the vagina to smell sweet, right? Or to feel fresh. Yeah. And not have a problem. But when you do these things, you can create a problem. Okay. Or you can have a problem where you're getting recurrent yeast infections, recurrent vaginal bacterial vaginosis. And you're trying to solve the issue by having steams. Mm-hmm. And then you realize that every single month you're constantly steaming because you're constantly having the problem. And so you're just like chasing your tail sometimes. Yeah. Where it's like, I want to get rid of the problem, but I'm really just helping with the problem. Or I might have temporary relief, but it really just aggravates or stimulates the situation again. Mm-hmm. And so you just want to be really, 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 really careful with that. Okay. And the last thing that I would say with that is sometimes if you're using like a pearl or you're inserting something in the vagina, you also have to be very careful, because there are bacteria that are all over our bodies. The bacteria that is outside of the vulva, outside of the vagina, should stay outside of the vagina. Right. Bacteria that's in the vagina should stay inside of the vagina. We don't want it to go to the cervix. We don't want to go up to the uterus. We don't want it to get to the rest of our bodies, right? And so whenever you are passing an object from the outside into the vagina and keeping it there for some period of time, you've now moved that bacteria from the outside into the vagina, and you've kept it there for a period of time, which can cause irritation and cause infections. Right. Okay? And so you just want to be careful when it comes to those things.
Okay. And then do you recommend women use vaginal cleaners like Summer's Eve or Vagisil or products like that? And if not, do you recommend any alternatives, if you had any alternatives to give?
Yeah. You kind of touched on this point before by saying that the vagina is really a self-cleaning area. And to be clear with the vagina, sometimes women are not the understanding isn't there, because we think that everything down there is the vagina. That's not the case. Yeah. Right? The vagina is only the tube that goes from the vulva, like on the outside, where the lips are, all the way up until the cervix where they meet, right? So it's this tube. This is where you have penetration. This is where periods pass through. Okay? And so in that tube, you do not need to put anything up there. Okay? Meaning that you don't want to douche. You don't want to insert. I've heard all types of things. Women will say that they stoop down in the tub and they get their rags or their shower heads and they're putting it up their vagina, like inside. It's some of the fun of my profession, because I hear stories that are just very, very interesting. And so when you say that the vagina is a self-cleaning area, it's to say that your vagina is constantly producing secretions that are cleansing it. And that secretion comes out. That's where we see like discharge. Yeah. Right? And so it's constantly clearing and washing itself, balancing its pH, balancing the amount of bacteria and yeast and everything that should be there. Yeah. So that it stays normal. And so you don't need to go up in your vagina to wash it.
Right.
Now, the vulva, which is where the clitoris is, the vulva, the lips, that area you can definitely wash.
Okay.
In general, you don't need to. Warm water is enough.
Yeah.
But if you're so inclined and you're just like, well, Dr. Perkins, I just can't even imagine that I'm washing everything else and I'm just going to skip my vagina.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And if that's the case, I completely understand, you know, and in that case, I really just want you to pick your products carefully. And by picking your products, there's a lot that we don't know. By we, meaning that the general public don't know about how soaps are made. Soaps in general are very harsh, even on your regular skin. And your skin is just about the toughest organ in your body. It's an organ. So you want to, everything that you have in connection to your skin that you're touching yourself with, you want to be careful. It's an organ. And so even on your regular skin, a soap can be harsh and it can hurt your skin, hurt your follicles. It can cause you to age faster than you should, which is why you want to be careful with everything you wash your face with and your body. Now, the vagina needs even more attention than that, okay? The vulva needs way more attention than that. And so any products that you put there, you want to make sure that it is fragrance-free. So all of these fragrances are really toxins. And what toxins mean is that they can be carcinogenic, which is a word that says that it can cause cancer.
Right.
Okay. The vagina is just like the mouth, like I said before. And if you can imagine, sometimes you can take medication in your mouth and not swallow it, it gets absorbed, right? Your vagina does the same thing. So everything you put next to and up close to your vagina is being absorbed into your system. And some of these things can cause your reproductive or like your fertility to go down.
Yeah.
It can cause you to have issues with that pregnancy and your child in the future because chemicals were in your system that alter the function of your baby. And now they have a problem later on in life that really just goes back to the chemicals you were using while you were pregnant or before you were pregnant. So you want to make sure that everything you put next to your vagina is pure as possible. So no fragrances. You don't want anything that has, there are a list of different chemicals, you know, which I could always, you know, like send to you, you know, for things to you that you absolutely want to avoid in your products. Read your labels, please.
Okay? Yeah, if you could send that to me, that would be great.
Absolutely. And so the longer your label list, like if you're looking at your ingredients list and it's lines and lines and lines and all these words that you can't pronounce, you should not put this in your vagina.
Right.
Period. You should not. And so you want to avoid those things. You also want to make sure that it's very mild. So oftentimes if they say sensitive, if it says mild on it, if it says hypoallergenic, you know, things like that. These are words that are terms to say that they have removed like the harshness of certain chemicals from them. And so good options, Dove unscented. This, you know, Dove has really been around for a long time, right? And they have trusted products. Yeah. And so that's one. Another one that I would say is Cetaphil. I have used Cetaphil on my skin in general for probably since the age of 18. So it's probably almost 20 years.
Yeah, I've been using Dove for a long time.
Yeah.
I use Cetaphil occasionally.
Yeah, I use it for my moisturizer wash for my face, for the moisturizer after I clean my face, as well as the moisturizer for my skin. And they also have sensitive options for the vaginal area. And they also have products for like babies. So if it's a product that can use on babies, then you know that it doesn't have these harsh chemicals in them as well. Right. And so sometimes people use like a Johnson & Johnson's baby wash for themselves because it's very gentle. And those are the things that you kind of want to need. Another option that I absolutely love is Dr. Bronner's.
Okay.
And so now some of their products do come with perfume. So again, I don't want you to go for the the nice smelling peppermint and, but they have an unscented option that is amazing. And very gentle on the vulva. And so those would be probably my top 3.
Okay.
Again, you don't need a lot of herbs. You don't need a lot of special stuff. Less is more.
Yeah.
That you do, so more than likely you're going to have issues with the vaginal area. And that also goes into things like the soaps that you use to, like your detergents.
Yeah.
Wash your clothing. Because again, you're washing your underwear in this chemical-filled solution. You put it next to your vagina is absorbing all of that. And then your system and your pH balance can become disrupted. And then now you're wondering why you're having irritation or problems down there.
Right. Okay. And then what about bubble bath? Do you...
Bubble baths or tub baths are very refreshing. Right? They're extremely refreshing, relaxing, and especially depending on the time of month, it can really bring comfort to your body, right? And keep your body at peace and at ease. And so I'm not against tub baths in general. Certain times that I don't recommend it, like during your postpartum period, for instance, after you have a baby, you don't want anything going up on the inside because the area of your vagina is open.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that whatever water or type of water you submerge yourself in is really traveling up on the inside. And so you want to be just as careful and cognizant of the chemicals that you're using in your tub baths. You want to make sure, one, your tub is clean.
Yeah.
Okay. Every single time, because that's bacteria that could travel up, right? And you want to make sure that the products that you're using is following the same guidelines. You want to make sure they're unscented, without any fragrance and without any harsh chemicals. So as mild as you can get it.
So do you have any recommendations for like actual bubble bath stuff, or just kind of like just water?
Just water.
Just water.
It's not as fun, right? It's kind of taken away from our freedom to really explore and enjoy. And honestly, if you were to do them like once in a while, they're probably not going to hurt your system as much. But if this is something that you're doing on a daily basis, then you want to make it as mild as possible.
Okay. Yeah, because I had a friend, she was like, I be wanting to take bubble baths, but I just be so sensitive. So I was like, I asked the question.
No, it's very true. The vagina is probably the most sensitive organ in our bodies, honestly. And so we have to treat it accordingly, because when it's not happy, it will let us know that it is not happy.
Yes, it definitely will.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Perkins, I definitely appreciate you coming on the show. As I mentioned, you are definitely my guest of choice. So I think God brought you here for a reason, and I definitely thank you for coming on and spreading your wisdom and knowledge with myself and my listeners. Do you have like any final words that you would like to give?
No, I mean, thank you, for having me. I'm really excited about everything that you are doing for the community, and that you have this desire in your heart to help others, because that's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like each one teach one. And so I appreciate the work that you're doing. And I think if there's more people around the world doing those things, that we'll be able to educate and bring knowledge to people in every sector. And so I'm really excited, and I love the series that you have going. So thank you so much for having me for that. In general, I want to say that if you have a vagina, your vagina is your baby. It's your first baby. It's your firstborn. Right? And it's your duty to kind of care for her as best as you can. And you want to do that in every way that you can. And not everyone can be, the exercise enthusiast, right? And not everyone can be as disciplined in only eating these things all the time. It's difficult. We're human beings. But constantly just keep working on you, Try to be the best version of you. Try to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. And that's it. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Don't compare your body to anyone else. Just love you just the way you are.
Yes, I think those were great words of wisdom to give. I definitely tell my listeners all the time, like, you're not perfect. Well, we all have flaws. Just try to be the best you that you can be. And so, again, I thank you for coming on. Can you let people know where they can follow you at on social media?
Yes. So you can find me at Call Me Doctor, DOCTOR, period, just the dot, P. And that's on Instagram. And that's the same on all my platforms. So that's the same on TikTok, Pinterest, things like that. And my website is going to be launching soon.
Okay.
And so, yes, there's a lot more excitement and information and knowledge that I'm excited to share with the world.
And I will say she is very fun on her social media. She is on TikTok dancing. So I would say follow her and just so you can stay up to date with what she's doing and, see her doing all the popular dances on TikTok. But again, I thank you all for tuning in. As always, you guys can follow me on social media at Kicking with CoCo, and I'm mainly on Instagram. I do have a Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter, but I'm not as active. And as always, until next time, bye.